Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of We Are Little Zombies, a Japanese comedy drama from 2019 that has received some very positive reviews on the festival circuit. No, this is not a horror film, nor does it have any actual zombies in it, per se. The film actually revolves around four kids, 13-year-olds basically, who come from different households. But unfortunately, all of their parents have recently died from various unrelated tragedies. So our protagonists meet at basically the crematorium where their parents are being turned into ash. And they befriend one another while they're there, and things go from there. Now, the word zombies in the title is a reference to the fact that these kids are very lackadaisical about their parents' deaths. You know, they're kind of apathetic, to the point where they don't show much emotion about it. They don't even cry at their parents' funerals. So because they're not showing a whole lot of emotion for these tragic events, they refer to themselves as little zombies. Now, I think there is a lot to like about this movie. Content-wise, it has some depth to it. You know, near the beginning, the viewer gets a view of events from each of these kids' perspectives. So we basically get to know these characters very early on, and then we spend the entire film with them as they're developed further and their friendship gets stronger. Their relationships with their parents when they were alive is also explored through flashbacks, and I think pretty effectively. Now, you could tell that the script writing is pretty strong in this because development is earned from very brief moments or scenes, and sometimes indirect communication, as I call it. So, for example, the lead character, Hikari, remembers the last time he saw his parents before the accident, when they died, and they're going on an overnight trip, and they're on their way out the door, and they ask him, are you going to be okay by yourself? And by the time he answers yes and looks up, they're already out the door. Like, they're gone. You know what I mean? And just the way this scene is executed, you kind of wonder, they were out the door so fast, did they really care what his answer was going to be? So there's a lot of stuff like that in this, and I think it does a good job giving you an idea of what the relationships were like between these kids and their parents. As an added bonus, we also get a bit of insight into the music industry and internet fandom during the second half. And in some ways, this film actually reminded me a little bit of All About Lily Chow Chow, the Japanese drama that came out 2 decades ago almost at this point. But I will say that We Are Little Zombies is not as dark as that film, so you don't have to worry about being too disturbed by this one. That film had some disturbing stuff in it. But yes, I quite enjoyed the writing in We Are Little Zombies. Now, in terms of style, this is another one of those movies that tells you what it is during the opening 10 minutes. If you like how this is presented in the opening 10 minutes, you're going to like the rest of the film. It is extremely stylistic and fun to watch. So the camera work in this, very creative, huge variety of camera shots. We get a lot of overhead shots, like looking down on the characters and on, different areas and stuff like that are mixed with the conventional kind of side shots. And this is probably the most overhead shots I've seen in a movie in a long time. I'm sure that was intentional, perhaps to maybe emphasize the video game theme, which we'll get to in a minute. We also get a lot of, static shots. We get panning shots, shots from inside drinking glasses looking at the characters, upside-down shots, first-person perspective shots, shots from moving objects, shots from falling objects as they're falling, shots from an animal's perspective, shots from the ground looking up. Like, the sheer variety of camera work in this movie is just insane, and it's constantly mixing things up. Really good, very engaging presentation to the film. I really liked it. There are a lot of old school video game aesthetics added in throughout the entire runtime, which kind of makes sense given the age of our protagonists. A lot of kids play video games, and a lot of adults do too. But this is in both terms of its visuals and its music that you get this video game theme. Like the opening credits are presented in kind of an old school Nintendo style of graphics, which I thought was really neat. I personally did not recognize any specific references to games, but I'm sure there must have been a few in here, especially with the music. You know what I mean? Maybe the music was taken from actual video games. I would not be surprised if it was. And each section of the film is broken up as like a video game style level objective, which I thought was pretty neat. So, I mean, this stylistic decision by the filmmakers really works because they're consistent with it from start to finish. It makes it feel like a true theme of the film. You know, it's not like it just appears at the beginning and then you don't see it anymore. It's pretty consistently applied, and I like that. Very colorful film as well. This is beautifully shot. I mean, some of the shots may have probably some post-production, I guess, filters and stuff on them, but some of the shots look like right on, like the cinematography right on set during production seemed to be really nice too. So, I mean, lots of eye candy on display. Very nice to look at. Overall, I mean, one of the most visually creative films that I've seen in years. It's really impressive. Another thing I enjoyed was the comedy, which relies heavily on black humor, actually. A lot of the jokes involve the subject of death, but it's surprisingly charming and witty. You know, the comedy is rather dry at times and relies on quick one-liners that are spit out in like rapid-fire fashion. And I think that style of humor was a good choice for this type of film. There's no like slapstick or anything, at least that I remember. So a lot of the humor is kind of a higher grade of humor. It doesn't go for low-hanging fruit. It goes for stuff that's a bit smarter than a typical comedy, and I like that. It's reliant on the script, and since the script writing is good, it works. Acting by the kids is really good. Very likable bunch. There are also some cameo appearances by popular Japanese actors that go by so fast, if you blink, you might miss them. So look out for those. So, I mean, there's not a lot of things I disliked about this. I mean, movies like this it's the kind of stuff where you're watching it, it kind of excites you, just because it's so different from what we normally get from really any country. Makoto Nagahisa is another director to look out for. So, you know, there's sometimes I'll review videos on this channel from like a director who's kind of breaking out. This is another one. This is his first feature-length film, which is kind of ridiculous, considering how interesting it is to watch. I strongly recommend We Are Little Zombies if you want something a bit different. It's currently available on Region 2 DVD with English subtitles. I think I bought my version on CD Japan, if I remember correctly. It's a bit pricey, though, so you might want to wait until maybe it gets a Region 3 DVD release with subs or maybe hits streaming. Considering how it was kind of a hit on the festival circuit, I would not be surprised if like Amazon or even Netflix picks it up in the US at some point in the future. So look out for it. If you want to keep up with like contemporary Japanese cinema, I think this is it's a must watch. And as always, I'll see you next time.